Hello, everyone. Dan Goodstein here with IRPA AI. I'm joined today with Frank Casale. Frank, as many of you know, is the founder of IRPA AI. In recent years, has been spending a bunch of his time working on a variety of ventures, but we thought it'd be good for him and I to kind of get together and Frank to reemerge and do a little bit of a regular segment on what Frank's seeing out there in the marketplace. So, Frank, welcome to what I think we're going to call the Founder's Corner, yes?
I think it's an okay title, Dan, but we don't have a better one. So always great to see you, and I look forward to what hopefully is a series. Let's see how I do here on the first interview, and if you give me a second shot.
Sounds good. So let's get right down to it. So, we've been talking for years about all the opportunities as it relates to automation, and you're usually the optimistic one in a crowd, right? But what are you seeing right now as the number one threat that enterprises are facing today when it comes to automation?
Yeah, so thanks, Dan. Thanks for the opportunity to share this. I was going to actually write a short piece on this, but it's a lot easier just to be here and speak with you. And I am normally a pessimist. I don't think I'm a, I mean, I'm normally an optimist. I don't see myself as a pessimist here, maybe a pragmatist. Because we're doing this now, Dan, how long? 6, 7+ years. And this is not clickbait. I think this truly is a threat, which is how long this is taking. If you look at the typical member of our network, if you look at organizations out there that are on their automation journey, regardless of where they are, 99% of them are moving slow. They're moving way too slow. And this is the threat in that if you think about, I mean, how many articles or white papers do we all see on things like hyper automation or digital transformation? And I think of these discussions as, and sometimes silly, because it's kind of like everybody's like reveling in a cross-country road trip, and we're still in the driveway here. So it's just taking way, way too long. And therefore, my message here, my warning out there to at least to our network is realize that this is a significant existential threat. And then do what you need to do to speed up.
So Frank, what's your sense? I mean, you've been on both in some buy side conversations, sell side conversations. Why is it taking so long, though? Is it a lack of education? Is it just typical company bureaucracy? Or what's causing
Yeah.
it?
So good question. So I think part of it is companies buying software the way they've been buying it for 20+ years. So it's the same process, the same procedure, and you know what? If this was 1995 or even maybe the year 2000, maybe it'd be acceptable. Things are moving so quickly now, and it's such a hyper-competitive market space. And I don't need to tell you or anyone just all the moving parts in the world now, right? Geopolitical, business, so many things are happening. Fiat currency, cryptocurrency, just all sorts of things going on, world disorder, that this typical buy cycle doesn't hold up now. So just there's the need to, as companies are talking about transforming themselves, the first thing they probably should transform is their buying process for software. So I think that's one thing, is that needs to be reinvented and compressed. Number two is with this shift to the cloud and this shift to, let's say, more disruptive, or may I say even just invasive technologies, companies are tentative, right? And I get it; it makes sense. So there's this risk aversion, and you have to get the cyber teams involved, which it all makes sense. But then you're talking about a process that in an ideal world would take 60 days. It's taking companies 6 to 8 to 12+ months to get from evaluating a category of product or technology to evaluating the technology to getting through a POC. Even a 30-day POC takes 3 months by the time you get in and out. And then at that point you ink a deal, and all you've done is decide to do something, and then you find your first use case. So here we are, typical company 3 years into this, and they're just scratching the surface. So to answer your question, net, I think it's an old buying process in a new world. And I think it's this fear and anxiety around cyber threats that's really causing such a lengthy, and I would say, again, risky process.
So, for someone watching this who, doesn't have the luxury of changing the entire corporate process though, Frank, what's your advice? What do you suggest for someone saying, yes, I get it. You're right, Frank.
Well, I had a feeling you'd hit me with that question, Dan. I'll tell you, I don't have all the answers. My singular goal here, or at least my primary goal, is to wave the warning flag that organizations are doing about 35 miles an hour in a 90-mile-an-hour speed zone, and if it hasn't becoming obvious yet, that you're in trouble. But also to say that maybe the best thing to think about initially is once you're alerted, realize that the only risk is not the risk of buying the wrong software or the risk of a cyber issue. There's a broader risk, and I would submit that business and technology leaders think about relative risk of also being a year or two or three behind in a hyper competitive market. Now, I will say that the traditional organizations, however you want to define that, are the ones most at risk. If you look at more digital native or born in the cloud organizations, they are moving much quicker. Okay, so what they're doing in 3 to 6 months is taking a traditional organization 1 to 2 years. So your real threat is just basically becoming extinct as a result of just being outpaced by these digital native organizations. These traditional companies have what I call just this ball and chain, if you will, of kind of just old school mentality, right? Old school methods, procedures, and that's really the challenge that they have. So first and foremost, just heed the wake up call, and then right behind that, realize that the broader threat is this threat of extinction, if you will, in your space.
The risk of doing nothing, right?
Yes. So that's it. And one other thing, if I may, Dan, before you boot me off here, because I
Yeah,
know we
please.
only have like 9 or 10 minutes, is I've been amazed to see that this is as much on the service provider side as the buyer side. If you think about it, if you're providing a service now, there's so many opportunities for, what I would refer to as a digitally fueled or kind of an intelligently driven service offering. And more of the service providers are incorporating that because it's better for them, it's better, faster, cheaper for them, and ultimately, as they pass some of those benefits along, better for their clients. But even the service providers are being very cautious, very prudent, and I think in the long run, it's just taking everybody so much longer. So again, raising the flag that's taking too long. Do everything you can to speed up both those selling the solutions, those buying the solutions, and those providing the solutions, because the ultimate risk is just too little, too late.
Sounds good. Frank, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, Dan. Always a pleasure. You take care.
Talk soon.